It's Fully Threaded Radio, episode 218.
One of the things that's difficult right now is I think there's a lot of noise in the numbers. And what I mean by that is with tariffs and everything, the numbers aren't necessarily only going to reflect.
It's definitely happened. Other than the fact every time you get a shipment in the last month, it costs you $100,000 in tariffs.
So that's a huge buzzword right now, and a challenge point also that we see happening.
Yeah, it's more than a buzzword, I guarantee you.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the mighty FCH Sourcing Network. If you buy, sell, manufacture, import threaded fasteners, or if you find yourself struggling with tariffs on a frequent basis, well, this is the podcast for you. Hey everybody, Eric Dudas with you, coming to you from semi-rural Northeast Ohio as usual. And since he hasn't been with us in a little while, I buzzed over to the FCH data center and made sure that he emerged. He's here with us now. He's Brian Musker. Hey, Brian.
In fully suburban Southwest Chicago.
Yes, nothing rural about it, but
no.
Hey, it's home. Looking forward to seeing you out there. Coming up very soon for the MWFA, where I will camp out in your guest bedroom. Looking forward to that. I hope that Harpo is well behaved. That's all I have to say.
I cannot guarantee that, okay?
He does like to squawk while I'm there. Well, he means well. We're going to not do as much squawking as we could on this one because it's an episode of Fully Threaded Radio, much like the old days. It's episode 218 of the podcast. We'll be publishing this time on August 12th, 2025. And so much to get in, Bri. The big theme is going to be tariffs again. Well, we've also got a little hydrogen embrittlement. We've got quite a bit of event coverage coming up, or preview, I should say. We're going to dive right into it. And before we do, I'm just going to say I'm glad that I was able to peel you away from the GPT conversations you've been having, or the chatbots. You've been using Perplexity and Chat GPT 5 now, isn't that right?
Yeah, I have. And I'm doing a lot of learning and just looking, and I've had, I guess, a fair amount of success. But I think that we're still a ways away from AI taking over the world, okay? I think it's not quite ready to write its own programs just yet, though it's pretty good.
So you're using ChatGPT and Perplexity right now to do what, code optimization? Is that mainly your focus?
No, what I'm doing is I'm switching some of our long-standing and very important programs over to like the new latest versions of what they call Spring Java to drag it into the modern world. And it's taking a fully working thing and I guess make it work the same way in a more modern structure, that's all. So there's a lot of changes to it. The fact that it can even do it at all, I think, is a miracle. It's just not quite miraculous enough for you to take it and make it a fully working program.
So ChatGPT 5 has been out for over a week now. We both watched the big OpenAI shindig that they did. Sam Altman was touting this thing and really focused on the programming capabilities, how strong it is and everything. And
right.
Your initial review is what, like C++? Not the programming language, a grade.
No, yeah. I suppose in terms of what we could have done 2 years ago, B, okay, but it's not reliable enough, really, or creative enough to take large sections of code and just convert them over to something else.
Okay. We're all so jaded now. I mean, what it actually does do is just absolutely astounding. It's mind-blowing. It's astonishing. But it has to be perfect, really, for us to use it. So I don't think it's quite knocking on the AGI door like Altman seems to be saying, but it definitely is very powerful.
No, it is absolutely not. However, we will end up with a much more modernized set of software as a result of it. It just requires a bit of care, a lot of care, okay? But 20 years ago, you couldn't even dream, or 10 years, you couldn't dream of anything that could do that.
And if you're asking yourself, what does this have to do with fasteners? Well, we say frequently it's predominantly fastener related, folks. But I'll also say that right around the corner, we've got the International Fastener Expo coming up, and we're going to kick this episode of the podcast off with a conversation with Kerry Tyler and Ali Gonzalez of Emerald. They're the producers of the Vegas show, as we're going to continue calling it for the 2025 edition. They've got quite a lineup of conference sessions and breakout sessions that deal with AI-related topics. So if this is your interest area, and it should be pretty much everybody's at this point, they're not going to disappoint. We'll cover that plus everything else that's coming your way out at Mandalay Bay coming up in mid-September.
And think about, if one of these agents can help you write a program, maybe it can help you schedule invoices and manage your mail and all sorts of things.
Lots of that kind of stuff is coming online. They'll be talking about it at the International Fastener Expo, and it'll be on this podcast as well. We can't avoid it, folks. We also can't avoid, very sadly, the tariff situation. And the Fastener Distributor Index this month showed the July numbers really going sideways again, this time in a northerly direction. So a lot of people have a smile on their face, but it's also been a little confusing. Fortunately, AFC Industries CEO Kevin Godin joins Mike McNulty today on the Fastener News Report. They're going to dissect all that. I'm very glad that it was Kevin as guest analyst this month, Bri, because I tell you, it's a real head scratcher and we need a big brain to look at it. They do a very nice job. That's the Fastener News Report. Also, Mike McNulty will do his own warm-up of the Vegas show. So we give that double duty on this episode.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Leading into the Fastener News Report, we'll talk to our old friend Joanne Bialas with International Fasteners. Take a look at the Link magazine that is still on the streets. That's the summer issue. You'll see the story in there announcing International Fasteners' 30-year anniversary. We want to give her a shout out so she warms up Mike and Kevin. The feature segment on the podcast today is a conversation with MWFA Hall of Famer Big Daddy Rich Cavoto of Metric and Multistandard. It's been a while since we sat down with him for a feature. We got him on this one. He's looking over his shoulder, Bri. You know, he's spending a lot of time out there on the golf course these days in the pickleball court when he can, but he's still busting it out. He, as you would imagine, has a few things to say about the current tariff situation, too. Rich Cavoto on our feature today. On the Fastener Training Minute, Carmen Vertullo will serve up our monthly quota of hydrogen embrittlement content as he compares HE testing to stress durability testing. A lot of overlap there, folks. Do you know the difference? Carmen will straighten all that out for you on the Fastener Training Minute.
Well, I'm surprised it took you so long to get to another episode about hydrogen embrittlement, actually.
So much to cover, Bri. Maybe we should start doing 2 Fastener Training Minutes per episode. A lot of people tune in just to hear those.
Yeah.
But there's so much on this one, including yet another mini segment that we're introducing this time. A lot of you know Marco Rodriguez, who appears quarterly on the Fastener News Report, but this time representing Cresa Expert Real Estate Advisory. We're going to drop in a mini segment with Marco, and he's going to talk about the ins and outs of build to suit. A lot of people who are putting their warehousing operations in leased facilities have to think very carefully about all this. Cresa is a company that can help you to think about it. Marco will show you why that is. So it's a very full episode today, Bri, and we have an extremely full episode of partners for it as well. Very happy to say that we've had some long-standing sponsors, as regular listeners know, and we're very, very fortunate that the roster is expanding. People feel the energy, and they're jumping on. Very awesome. It's a wonderful honor. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Shouting them out, the title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Star Stainless, right off the shelf. It's Star, Goebel Fasteners, quality the first time, Go Goebel, and Brighton Best International. Tested, tried, true, Brighton Best. Fully Threaded Radio is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, Cresa Expert Real Estate Advisory, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Endries International, Jalen Franco, Fastener Technology International, MW Components, the International Fastener Expo, Solution Industries, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Worth Industry USA.
And we're very, very lucky to have such a long-standing group of friends and supporters. So if you're thinking of fasteners, make sure you think of them first, okay?
And let them know that you appreciate it when you see them at MWFA Fastener Week coming right up and the International Fastener Expo in September. Means a lot. Let us know what you think of the podcast. The email address, ftr@fullythreaded.com. And I'll point out again, on our last episode, we had Cara Bassi with MW Components, newer sponsor of the program. This time, we're also adding on Endries International and Cresa as formal sponsors. We're building out the platform. You're going to see some of that surfacing fairly soon to support everybody. And as we go, we just want to say once again how much we appreciate it. So, Bri, as I said, I had to drag you pretty much out of the data center because you're fixed now to your workstation even more than you used to be, while you're addicted to this GPT. And, it makes me think back to the early days, like in the 90s, like when AOL came out, and you had dial-up, and it was the first time that you, quote unquote, could get on the internet from your home office. Remember those days?
Oh, I absolutely do. I can remember you and I in the early days of video testing out the one single thing that could transmit a video signal came from Carnegie Mellon University. Was it See You, See Me, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty primitive, just a little postage stamp, and it was all choppy, and it was coming over a 14.4 modem, and it was just, compared to what there is today, nobody would have the patience for it. But it was exciting at the time, and it led to many, several $100 phone bills.
Right, and many broken calls and fractured pictures and all sorts of things. But, that, say, 15, 18 years ago, maybe 20 years ago.
No, this is more like 1994, 95.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, come on, you're in a time machine.
Yeah, 30 years ago. You're right. This was right. Dial-up modems only.
Well, I was reminded of all that because I saw earlier this week a headline come out from CNBC, and it announced, just as weird of a headline as anything else these days, AOL ditching dial-up service, a relic of the internet in the 90s.
Oh, yes.
Did you even imagine that it was still out there? I guess so. I mean, who was still using dial-up for AOL in 2025?
Well, I don't know, but I suppose if you live on a farm in the middle of Nebraska or somewhere, I mean, what else can you do?
Starlink?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, this is farming. They're more conservative than the fastener industry, okay?
Yeah. Well, even the Amish out here in semi-rural Northeast Ohio all have iPhones.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
There's 5G towers looking over the cornfields. What a world. Okay, it is an amazing world. We're going to take a look at a slice of it on today's episode of the podcast. It's Fully Threaded Radio. It's Brian and Eric. Ride again. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, we do.
And we're looking forward to seeing you in Chicago and in Vegas. But for now, we're going to hear from our sponsors. And Marco Rodriguez will jam that in. Then we'll be back with Kerry and Allie. It's Fully Threaded
Radio.
Brian and Eric, your online Fastener Talk Radio brothers in thread. Fully Threaded Radio.
Headed to the International Fastener Expo this September? Make sure to stop by Brighton Best International at booth 1637, September 16th and 17th at Mandalay Bay Halls, E&F in Las Vegas. Meet our team, explore new products, and don't miss the marketing workshop we're hosting. It's packed with insights to help you grow your business. And here's a bonus. We're offering our valued distributors an exclusive 50% off admission with a special promo code. Just reach out to your BBI representative to get the details. We'll see you in Vegas, booth 1637. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best.
Goebel Fasteners has consistently increased its stock inventory in Houston, Texas, as well as focused on developing new, innovative battery-powered cordless tools to improve industry efficiency. Our company's strategy is to provide a level of quality and innovation that stands out among the rest. If you are interested in being part of a brand that is revolutionizing the industry, make sure to contact Goebel Fasteners today to see what we have to offer. Goebel Fasteners, the leading rivet source.
With Star Stainless, our personalized service and nationwide network of distribution centers allows you to order rivets, hose clamps, and fasteners from one source. Star continues to be your one-stop shop to consolidate vendors, reduce transactions, and save on shipping costs. Choose Star Stainless for a comprehensive inventory that meets all your hardware needs. Star Stainless Screw Company is a division of Linfast Solutions Group.
Hi everyone, this is Marco Rodriguez with Cresa, back with your real estate update. I was recently giving a presentation to a large public company and the topic of build to suit came up. It occurred to me that many fully threaded radio listeners might not be familiar with the concept, so I decided to cover this topic today. Most companies, especially industrial distributors, choose to lease their buildings rather than own them. Why? Primarily because their capital is better invested in core business functions like inventory and personnel, which typically yield much higher returns than owning real estate. And within the world of renters, the vast majority find an existing building, negotiate a deal with the landlord, sign a lease, which is usually 5 years or longer. However, there are times when an existing building just doesn't cut it. Perhaps you're in a smaller market with limited building inventory, or your company has very specific requirements that are hard to find in a pre-existing space. And this is more common for manufacturers who need things like heavy power and perhaps extra ceiling height. This is where a build-to-suit can come in. It's a customized solution where a developer constructs a building specifically for your needs. Think of it like this. If Starbucks or Chick-fil-A wants a new store, or if a company like Amazon or Tesla need a highly specialized industrial facility, they just choose to go the build-to-suit route. The biggest advantage for a tenant is getting a brand new building in their ideal location perfectly suited to their operations. We're talking the exact number of dock doors, the right amount of office space, break rooms, bathrooms, labs, and everything else they need to optimize their workflow. Of course, this level of customization comes with a trade-off. Landlords typically require longer lease terms. The larger the investment they make in the building, the longer the commitment they expect. 10-year leases are common for built-to-suits, although you might see some as short as 5 or as long as 20. While the principle of built-to-suit is straightforward, the devil is definitely in the details. Beyond just understanding a fair market rent, it's crucial to thoroughly understand and negotiate critical elements like construction timelines, finish specifications, and ongoing maintenance responsibilities. Who's responsible for the roof? Who's responsible for the walls, etc. An expert advisor will negotiate the lease and help manage all these moving parts. Beyond the basics, there are generally 2 types of developers in the build-to-suit world. Those who plan to hold the property for the long-term rental income, and investment firms that will sell the property with a tenant to an investor who is banking on the stable 10 to 20-year income stream. Here's a key insight. A property with a secure, recurring cash flow is worth much more than the building itself, and this creates a significant profit potential for that developer. A little-known secret is tenants can negotiate a profit-sharing agreement in their leases. This innovative strategy allows tenants to actually benefit from the future sale of their building. But you'd ask, why would a developer share that profit? It's because the tenant is the one adding the value to the building. It can be a sizable bonus for companies that are simply focused on operating their business day to day and turn their long-term commitment into a huge financial upside. If you'd like to learn more about built-to-suits or have any general industrial real estate questions, you can always find me on LinkedIn. I'm Marco Rodriguez with Cresa, that's spelled C-R-E-S-A. And I'll be back soon with our regular quarterly real estate update.
Hi, this is Dave, the voice of Buckeye Fasteners and Old Rusty Gold Beer, the preferred beer of the traveling salesman. And you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, it's August, and that means that the Vegas show is right around the corner. The International Fastener Expo, in other words. Wow, already. It's an exciting time for the fastener industry. Most of us regard it as the Super Bowl. And again, it's right around the corner. I'm looking forward to it. I got my booth it'll be ready. Don't worry. We got the Vegemite on order. With me now to discuss a little bit of this, lay it all out for us. Got 2 people who know quite a bit about it. Gonzalez is an account executive over there. She's working with you guys, getting you all set up with your booths. Kerry Tyler is the show director that many of you have met. Hopefully you get to know her a little bit right now. Kerry, welcome to Fully Threaded.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. Great to be here with you.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you guys finally, and it's a 2-for-1. So I do not mind that one bit. So before we get into the show, I have to ask you, Allie, because while we were setting all this up, you said, I am very ready to do this with you, but I want you to know I've only been on one podcast, and it happened to be in the wellness industry. Well, no, you said wellness and art history. I mean, that's a weird combo, but wellness, you caught my ear. Come on, what was that all about?
Yeah, well, so wellness comes from my roots. For those who don't know, I live in Miami, Florida. Big fitness, wellness, mind, body, soul kind of scene here. I practice yoga and Pilates. So I am very big into the wellness industry here. And, also art history just comes from my love of art and culture. So funny how I ended up in the fastener industry, but here I am. I like to piece, and connect different modalities together. And so I love to form community. So it's really nice that I can work with different types of exhibitors from around the world and bring them all together for the lovely purpose of selling fasteners at IFE. So very excited to be here, Eric, and thanks for that wonderful introduction.
Very cool. Okay, so given all that, I'm sure you're aware that we have a big event coming up ahead of IFE, and that is the Tough Mudder race. I don't know if you're going to be out in Chicago for Fastener Week. You probably will be, but did anybody try and recruit you for this race?
I saw so many posts on LinkedIn, and I've a lot of people have mentioned it. I'm going to be all things IFE, hands on deck for our show. So I don't know that I will make it, but I will be cheering on in spirit all of our exhibitors from my desk in Miami while I'm getting everybody ready for the show coming up in September. So.
All right. Well, in a second, I'm going to ask you to give me one training tip for everybody that's listening who's on the team, because there's a lot of us this year. Meanwhile, Kerry, welcome to you as well. I don't know that you have visited with us on the podcast. You're running the whole show over there. And what's your overall take on this year's event? I mean, what's the energy like from your perspective?
Yeah, great to be here. Really excited to be a part of IFE. Have been in trade shows for quite some time now, but very new to the fastener world. Being able to attend some recent NFDA meetings, Fastener Fair, some industry events has really kind of opened my eyes to the fastener world. And I couldn't be more excited to be in Vegas, to be running this great show and to welcome thousands of attendees and our great exhibitors and sponsors. It's just such a great community.
Well, I can say, observing what you've been doing so far, you've really done everything you can that I could imagine to immerse yourself in this, to introduce yourself to the right people. You're doing some very interesting things behind the scenes. So I was very relieved to see that happening. And again, thanks for being here. All right. So, Ali, getting back with you, there's a lot of folks on this team, who may or may not really be ready for it. So if you had one wellness overall tip to give to people who've been kind of sitting in there at their desk for the last 9 months, and now they have to get out there and do a 5K in the mud, is there any one thing that you could say overall from a wellness perspective they should be thinking about?
Yeah, I'm all about mind body prep. So I love visualization. I think that's a great technique, especially if you're trying to visualize the race. And I know a lot of the team members are very competitive, and it's good also to check in with yourself. So I would say spend a few minutes each day, few days up until the event, picturing yourself running, crossing the finish line. I think mental rehearsals really reduce anxiety and they boost confidence. So I like to practice mantras. So just, repeat mantras if that's something that you are aligned with and you're called to do. Just say, I'm strong, I'm ready, I got this. It really does help boost your confidence to finish the race and finish it well.
Oh, I love that. I like your style.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. That's great.
Yeah, and that goes for many things. I'll be thinking about that. I'll be visualizing while I'm toasting my fireball before we start the race. I don't know if that goes over in most wellness communities, but it does in the Mudder community. Okay, well, let's dive into this show because it is coming right around the corner, International Fastener Expo. It's happening in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay. The dates this year Well, on the website, it says conference is 15th through the 17th and the expo 16th through the 17th. So, Allie, why don't I hand off to you? Why don't you run this down, tee off on what you have in store for us this year with International Fastener Expo?
Yeah, so thanks, Eric. Our team is gearing up for an incredible show this year. We have 3 full days of networking, discovering new products, soaking in the high energy of the fastener industry. So we kick things off on that Monday morning, September 15th, with our legendary golf tournament, which starts at 7:45 a.m. So this year, Brixton's adding a fun little twist to our golf tournament. They're hosting their own marshmallow golf activation. So it's a great way to start off the week on a high note. So look for Brixton if you're registered for the golf tournament. They have exciting prizes. And I don't know if you know what the marshmallow golf activation is, but it's basically, do you know, you said that you're not so much of a golf person, but it's essentially, I didn't know about this. It's whoever can kind of puck the marshmallow the farthest wins a prize, basically.
All right. Well, look, it's a golfer thing, I guess.
It's a golfer thing, but it's a very cool activation and a great way to kind of network and among the golfers. It's going to be a great kind of conversation piece amongst the golfers this year. And then also, so on that Monday, we host the FTI workshop with Carmen Vertullo, our past recipient and award winner. So he's going to be spearheading that workshop with the team at FTI from 8:30 to 4:30. This year, it's going to be at the Shell Seekers AB. So it's a full day hands-on workshop that's really an industry favorite for all our fastener pros looking to sharpen their skills. So that's Monday. We also have our first ever conference day on that Monday as well. We have great engaging sessions on AI, which is a huge critical issue this year, as many may know within the industry. We also have topics covering how to navigate the fluctuations relating to tariffs. So that's a huge buzzword right now and a challenge point also that we see happening.
Yeah, it's more than a buzzword, I guarantee you.
Yeah, so it's completely transforming how people do business. So we really have a great conference, speakers and sessions really highlighting topics that a lot of people have been wanting to hear about.
Well, no, they're very relevant for sure. So let me ask you this, how does that plug into the show? If you're registered for the show, do you get in, or is there a separate entry to that? How does it work?
Great question. Each session is $39, so pre-registration is required. Be sure to secure your spot early because they are registering quickly.
And those are both happening on?
That's Monday, September 15th.
Got it.
Yep. And then for the AI, so one of the highlights is how AI is transforming the fastener industry. That's one of the topics. So that's featuring a panel of executives from Hawk Search and Bridgeline. So it's a must attend for anybody curious about AI and how it's shaping the space. So that's one of our highlighted conference sessions. Another one that we see a lot, especially recently in the industry, is the state of the fastener M&A market. We're seeing a lot of mergers and acquisitions across the industry. So we also have
I'd like to go to this one.
It's called Fasteners in Flux. So yeah, make sure you register for that one. It's going to be a really timely session for what's going on right now, and be sure to register.
That's Kevin Godin with AFC, by the way, folks.
Yes. Yeah. And then we also have our keynote session. So that's Tuesday, September 16th from 8:30 to 9:30. And this one is titled Weathering the Trade Tariff Tempest. It's kind of just a big topic with big impact. And a lot of people did request, tariff related topics. And so we brought in our keynote who really has a lot of experience speaking on that. So we're excited. And we have a more technically inclined session. Make sure you also register for Keeping It Together, no pun intended. That is with Doug Hirsch. He's of Goldilocks Ratchet Fastener. He's a new exhibitor with us. He's an acclaimed inventor and a scholar. And so his topic is going to be regarding the increasing demand for vibration-resistant fasteners. So make sure to also register for his session as well.
You've really built out the conference portion of the show. Okay, well, that's all exciting. So then we move on to the show itself.
Yes. So, well, actually, we also have our.
There's more.
Yes, there's more. So after a full day of golf and workshops and everything that you don't want to miss, we're turning up the energy at the IFE welcome party, which is a favorite.
Of course.
And it's going to be on that Monday, September 15th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Daylight Pool. So perfect way to kick off the show. Great vibes, as you know. Great networking, fun, relaxed setting to connect with fellow attendees before the expo floor opens. That will be at the Daylight Pool again this year. We're really excited for that. That's usually a great kickoff to the show week.
Okay, I'll be there. Kerry, are you writing all this down?
I'm writing all this down and putting it on my calendar. I will be there with bells on. I can't wait. I've heard so much about everything that Ali has talked about. So to be able to experience it is going to be awesome.
I know you've all been working behind the scenes as a team to get this in place. So now get to the show. So we've got the best people really on the planet to give us some kind of an idea about the makeup of this year's floor. It's fluctuated a lot over the years. How do you describe this year?
It's obviously an international show. So we do have our Source Global, you'll see on the floor plan. So we have pavilions set aside for our wonderful international pavilions. So this year we do have Turkey, Taiwan, China, India, I believe as well, that will be participating. And also we have our machinery and tooling section. Which we like to kind of give their own area because they're bringing in some great heavy duty machinery to show off. And then we're very excited, and I know Kerry can speak to this as well. We have a new activation area called the Demo Zone this year. So we have an area dedicated just to live demonstrations, and that will be, if you look on the floor plan, it's on the right-hand corner near our machinery and tooling section. So we'll have several exhibitors that are just doing high-level demonstrations with their products. So a really cool area if you want to get some exciting over-the-counter kind of demonstration. That's something new this year.
I hope it's really noisy. You know, that was one idea that I always had about the show that would make it a little more exciting is just like banging noises, like cold heading machinery going in the background or something, you know, because you walk into any fastener production facility and that's what you hear, just this clanking. Sometimes at the shows, the crowd noise is exciting. Don't get me wrong, but I always thought that. So I hope it's a very noisy thing that you guys have.
Yes.
Well, Allie's done a great job selling out almost the whole entire machinery and tooling area.
Cool.
And that's right where the demo zone is. So I'm pretty sure you'll get your wish with all of those background sounds.
Nice. All right. So it sounds like a full show. How are booth sales, if I can ask you?
So I just work with our domestic exhibitors, and we are pretty much almost sold out. I have just a few booths left. So if you wanted to get in there, you can, but just let me know as soon as possible because we just have a handful of 10 by 10s and a few demo area. We just obviously launched the demo area. So we are selling out quickly, but there is available space if you wanted to jump in and try a tabletop this year. That's, as long as you have a demo product that's ready to be shown, we're happy to highlight that.
Wow, really cool. How about sponsorship opportunities? I know it's getting a little late in the game. Some of our listeners, though, they tend to like to come to the party after it's already been set. Anything they can jump in on if they so desire?
Yeah, so this year you'll see a lot more customized experiences, so to speak, with some of our exhibitors. We really worked hand in hand, and Kerry has had a big part in that, of working directly with some of our exhibitors to have activations this year. So Crossroad Distributor Source has their 21st birthday celebration that you can find on the floor plan. You'll see where that's located. But they have a whole setup, and we're really excited. We've been working with their team to highlight them on the first day of the event and have the attendees celebrate their 21st birthday with them at IFE. We've had a couple other sponsorships that we've worked, like the Bricks and Marshmallow Tournament, and they have a cocktail called the Bricks and Blend at the welcome party. However, as we gear closer to the show, most of our on-site signage has, obviously the deadline has pretty much passed for that. So right now we're offering a lot of digital offerings. So leaderboards on the website, targeted e-blast is a great way to get your messaging to attendees prior to the event. So what that is essentially is for a nominal fee, we send out email on behalf of IFE to the attendees with your HTML. And then you can say anything from visit our booth to, show off a new product, anything like that, to really kind of get people's eyes and ears perked up about your company pre-IFE.
Got it. Okay. So let's recap. The International Fastener Expo is coming up. The date's September 15th through the 17th. That's happening at Mandalay Bay. We didn't mention the website yet, so I'll do it now. Fastenershows.com. It makes sense to get out there and register right when you're hearing this, because it's all open and it's all available to register at this point. I also want to mention one thing that we haven't gotten to yet, and that is that on Wednesday the 17th, Jackpot Marketing with Rosa Hearn and Joe Shoemaker. That's going to be a big one. I want to be there. It's only $59, includes breakfast. That's like a 2-for-1. Actually, it's a 3-for-1 because Joe and Rosa know their stuff. Breakfast is the bonus. So, it's going to be a great event, guys.
Yeah, the Jackpot Marketing Workshop is going to be 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the Coral ABC.
Allie, I'm visualizing it all now.
Oh, yeah? Oh, you're using the wellness technique. That's great.
That's right. And I can tell Kerry is too. Well, ladies, thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you I'll see you in Chicago shortly. But then, of course, the big event is happening in Las Vegas in September. International Fastener Expo, the Vegas show, at least for the time being, right?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you. We'll see you in Vegas.
Fully Threaded Radio. Talk radio for the fastener industry.
Goebel Fasteners' patented G-Grip T304 stainless steel multi-grip lock bolt system has taken the industry by storm and revolutionized truck and trailer applications where a fixed-range classic 6-groove locking fastener system was used. These new unique parts offer an extensive grip range in various sizes that can replace up to 14 sizes of the classic 6-groove locking fastener system, making these a no-brainer to swap over any production line for ease of use, increased output efficiency, and reduced inventory. Goebel Fasteners, the leading rivet source.
Are you tired of empty promises from software vendors? Are you paying for support that you're not receiving? Is it time for another paid upgrade? There is a solution. InSequel delivers quality software designed for the fastener industry at an affordable price with industry-leading support. Quality software, affordable pricing, industry-leading support. Only InSequel can deliver all three. www.inxsql.com.
Precision, efficiency, durability. J.L. Franco has been a trusted name for the finest lock nuts worldwide and across North America for over 40 years. J.L. Franco keeps projects on track, on time, and on budget, providing self-locking lock nuts and critical bolting components for applications in aerospace, energy, military, rail, mining, industrial, and many other sectors where reliability and high performance are essential. Learn more about J.L. Franco online at www.jlanfranco.com. Jalen Franco, lock nuts for critical bolted joints.
This is George Hunt III from Brighton Best International, and you're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
News segment time. This time, Mike McNulty will be joined by AFC CEO Kevin Godin. They'll be looking at the FDI numbers and a whole lot more. That's a lot of three-letter, I don't know if those are acronyms or not, but a lot of that. In the meantime, I was looking at the latest Link magazine. This is the triumphant summer issue. On the cover, the 100-year anniversary of Brighton Best. We talked about that a little bit last episode. Page 30, there's a story there that inspired me to pick up the phone and call. She's with us now, Joanne Bialas. Hey, Joanne.
Hey, Eric. How you been?
Never better. Very happy to see this issue and the 30th anniversary of International Fasteners and the Daggers brand, which you seem to use interchangeably, but there you are with your team, and before and after is there. And I tell you, it makes me just as happy to see that as the cover. Thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. This is a great little shout out for us. And, you know, while 30 years kind of pales in comparison to BBI's 100-year milestone, you know, they've been just such a powerhouse for so many years. It didn't surprise me to see 100 years for them on the cover. But 30 years still means a whole lot to us. You know, we like to think we kind of, you know, we haven't changed that much, maybe a few more wrinkles, but that's about it. You know, what are you going to do?
Well, I mentioned the before and after photo, and I got to say that the team, it's the same trio there, and maybe you can shout yourselves out there for me. But, I mean, you guys looked great back then. You look great still, and it's nice to see the team. Now, I know you've done a lot of expansion. Walk us through International Fasteners and Daggers, and I know you're based in Florida still, but you're all the way out on the West Coast now. You're doing some exciting things. Lay it out for us, Joanne.
Absolutely. Obviously, Pete and Tina Carlino have been our founders and co-owners and have really been behind the wheel of the bus. And I was able to join them very early on and grow with them. And I will shout out to all the people that we've acquired along the way that have made the success. And as we've gone from our one location in Tampa, Florida, which is still our corporate headquarters, you know, we now have a total of 8, and 5 of them are actual own locations, you know, and then we have 3 satellites. But we've been able to pick up some other industry veterans who have put in significant time. We have a former vice president of sales for Compass. I don't know if you remember Compass, but Connie Swatek. And of course, now this past year, we've acquired Law Winchester, who's 30-year veteran of the industry, national sales manager in his own rights. And he's heading up the West Coast for us. So we just continue to grow, you know, and the people and our culture come together and have helped us really stay true to what we've tried to do, which was not only establish but grow our Daggers brand fasteners, but provide the service and quality that is second to none. And we still do that today, 30 years later, and we're going to keep doing that.
In this story, you mentioned the personal touch, and every time someone calls, they're going to get a live person, or at least you'll call right back. Put it that way. Let's be real, huh?
Right.
I tell you, I have to remember the first time you and I got acquainted. It was a few years back now, and that was when you were involved in SEFA, the Southeastern Fastener Association. And I was impressed at the time, I remember, with how you were kind of reviving that organization. And I say this, Joanne, because it takes that kind of commitment and that kind of personal charisma to do that kind of thing, to pull it off. I know you bring that also to International Fasteners, but I always admired you for doing that. And again, that's how we first started talking.
Well, thank you for that. And also, SEFA had a monumental celebration this year as well,
That's right.
Celebrating their 50 years in the industry. So it was great that I got to be a part of that and meet up with a bunch of former presidents, and it was a great time. And you know, I always, I love a good challenge. Sales has always been challenging. Management is challenging. But I found when I got involved with CIFA originally and they were in trouble that I had some talent there that perhaps, I could throw that in. And with my passion for the industry, I think that really, really helped get CIFA back on their feet. Of course, the biggest decision that was made while we were trying to regroup was bringing on Nancy Rich, another industry veteran, to take over. And gosh, she's done such a fabulous job to get us to the 50-year mark.
Yeah, now a lot of folks listening might not realize that Nancy Rich, of course, she's so well known for being the longtime executive director of the Midwest Fastener Association, and she retired from that position after many years. I don't know how many, perhaps you do, but I don't know how many people know that she's still doing CIFA.
Yeah, I think she still has a soft spot for us, and she really did come in right when we needed someone most to carry it on. And you're from the Midwest, you get it. Who doesn't want to come down to the Southeast in the wintertime for a meeting or two?
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense. I hadn't thought of it that way, but it all connects.
Yeah. So, but I think as Nancy continues to kind of, I'm not going to say fade away, but kind of she's working out her exit strategy so she can spend more time with the family, I'm sure. But she was here, and so she got to be a part of the celebration as well. Great fun.
That is such a cool connection. Well, this industry is very filled with them. And right now I'll mention another connection we've got, and that's to our partners. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Star Stainless, Global Fasteners, and Brighton Best International. And of course, the Fastener News Report is brought to us by Volt Industrial Plastics. Hey, another proud CIFA member. One of the other things that I remember early on in our conversations, Joanne, was you were always really tuned into tech and kept the beat on the pulse of what was happening. I got to ask you, what are you thinking? What are you seeing out there in the AI world these days? How's it going to impact the fastener world?
I don't know that I'm qualified to speak to the fastener industry specifically, but I do see it aiding the industry in business ways for certain. And I'm sure everyone is embracing it more and more. Just a simple AI-generated response to a quick text, or helping reword the email that you're trying to say something and they're struggling. But, we've got all these little helpful pieces that I think we are utilizing already and maybe don't even realize it. But overall, I don't believe artificial intelligence is going to take over the industry, but I think it will help in certain segments.
Are you seeing it in distribution specifically anywhere these days, or is it still something that everyone's just talking about?
From where I'm sitting so far, I have not seen anything specific to report.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. Hey, no reason to feel bad about that. I think a lot of people share your view. We're just keeping our eyes open, and of course, we're dipping our toe in wherever we can. And a lot of it is that office productivity kind of stuff that you referenced, but I think we're in pretty good company there, Joanne.
Well, you always have to move forward and work smarter, not harder. So this is definitely baby steps for some of us, and probably more than that for others. But I believe in technology. I still do.
Okay, I'm not surprised to hear that. All right, well, Joanne Bialas, International Fasteners, your Daggers brand, congratulations again on your 30 years. Again, check out page 30. I wonder if Leo did that on purpose, put you on page 30 for your 30th anniversary.
I was kind of hoping they did. It's very cool.
Yeah, it just occurred to me. I guess I need a little AI to help me out with stuff like this. Okay, so congratulations again, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the shout out. It's always great to talk to you.
And with the news coming up next, you know what time it is now.
It is. Now, with news about screws that you can use. Here's Mike McNulty.
Thanks, Joanne. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. It is only August, but a large part of America is suddenly fascinated by the 2025 season of the Cleveland Browns professional football team. And utopian economic schemes are fully bipartisan now, but I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In this episode, Kevin Godin, CEO of AFC Industries, joins us to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story from Setco Fasteners and Distribution, plus newsmaker headlines from Birmingham Fastener, Packer Fastener, Echo Bolt, Optimus Solutions, AFC, Linfast Solutions Group, the women in the fastener industry, and more. On the back page report, we're going to talk about the Las Vegas Fastener Show. We'll get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
Hey there, fastener distributors. This is Heidi Voltrauer from Volt Industrial Plastics. As a fellow fastener industry business, Volt knows you are always on the lookout for ways to help your customer while keeping costs in check. So, why not plastic? Listen, there's no argument that metal fasteners have to be used for certain applications, but when strength isn't the primary concern, why not explore the saving benefits of plastic? You not only save your company money, but also pass those savings on to your valued customers. It's as easy as picking up the phone or sending a quick email. Our team at Volt makes sourcing easy, and we look forward to helping you find exactly what you need when you need it. So, for all of your plastic fastener needs, you know the website, voltplastics.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engine! Get ready to race ahead with Eurolink's time-tested fast, faster, and fastest freight options. Needed fast? Eurolink delivers. Needed faster? We'll shift into overdrive. Eurolink's fastest service has products at the finish line in a flash. Eurolink drives circles around our competition, providing turbocharged precision delivery for 25 years and counting. You can sit in the pits with no quotes or contact Eurolink's team to win the supply chain showdown. Stay in the race. Get hard-to-find metric fasteners delivered with Eurolink. Fast, faster, and fastest.
This is Tough Nutter Jake Valdez Davis here, and when I'm not training for the upcoming Tough Mudder race this August, I'm grabbing some Yubo Blend coffee and heading out to the next Fastener Association meeting. BTM Manufacturing is going to have a busy 2025, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone. Train hard, or not. See you in August.
Back to the Fastener News Report with Mike McNulty.
The seasonally adjusted Fastener Distributor Index for July 2025 rose to 53.1 after posting a solid 52.0 reading in June, seasonally adjusted. This was the fifth reading above 50 out of the last six and the highest result of 2025. The forward-looking indicator, also known as the FLI, exploded last month to 57.3, recovering from a lackluster 47.4 in June. Also the highest level of the year and only the second month out of the last seven of being above 50. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight on these results, we're going to talk to AFC Industries CEO Kevin Godin. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
It's good to have you back. It's been a while, I think about a couple years, but looking forward to hearing your take on the latest FDI results. What do you think?
Yeah, it was certainly an interesting reading, especially the FLI was surprising to me, but probably a lot we could dig into here.
Yeah, that definitely was the surprising number for me as well, so high. And I didn't look to see what was the highest ever, but it's definitely the highest of the last year. So yeah, let's dive into some of the numbers. We had sales, employment, deliveries, and all pricing rose, while respondent and customer inventories dropped to their lowest point of the year. So that's probably that combination of all that led to the good results. So what do you think there?
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that's difficult right now is I think there's a lot of noise in the numbers. And what I mean by that is with tariffs and everything, the numbers aren't necessarily only going to reflect underlying demand or economic trends, right? There's positioning in there. So for example, sales are up. What percentage of that is price lift? Because if you look at the pricing, people have been passing on pricing, customer inventories, normally that would be a real positive sign, right? That, people are burning through inventory and it needs to be replaced. That also, though, can be an indication that customers are burning through backlog and that they've shortened their position because they have less confidence. You know what I mean? There could be some noise in here and I think it's a little too early to tell for certain, but it's always good to see a couple of months, particularly at the FDI level, that people are stringing together a couple of months that are positive. I think in terms of the FLI, I'm probably a little more skeptical about that number for several reasons.
Yeah, it really went up. I mean, let's go. Yeah, you mentioned the inventories. We had respondent inventories dropped to 57.4, down from 65 or 62.5. And like I said, that's by far the lowest recorded number in the last year, even going back to the fall. And then the customer inventories dropped to 38.2, a really low level. So, like you said, it could be they're selling stuff, they're reducing their inventory, or maybe they're not replenishing it as quick. So it's in general a good move, I think, but it could be disguising something else going on.
Yeah, that's right. It's typically a good sign, but again, I think my approach to these things is any one number in isolation is going to have less explanatory power than when you look at it in relation to the other numbers. That's a pretty substantial move there. So I suspect, I don't know if there's some bullwhip effect in there. That's a pretty big drop. So I'm gonna want to wait and see what happens with that next month.
Yeah, and in the back of my mind, like you mentioned it too, is that with these tariffs and everything, are sales going up, or that just the numbers are bigger because the tariffs are on there?
Yeah, I think sentiment. People. You're hoping to get objective data, right? Objective results, but also sort of relative performance to what people expect always plays a part in that. So it looks like maybe things are on a relative basis, better. But when you look at particularly the FLI, when you're looking at the relationship, I think while both of these numbers look really strong and upbeat, if you look at, for example, the ISM, the PMI,
it went down.
It's going the other direction, and so I think that's probably a more accurate view right now as to the general economic conditions, and I think that would be because it correlates better to some other things. So, for example, this is the fifth straight month of contraction in manufacturing, and all of the 6 largest manufacturing segments were in decline in July. Mm-hmm. So as we have tariffs and uncertainty flowing through, there may be several distributors who are positioned very well to take advantage of some of that, better position than others. And maybe they've had some really good months. We'll have to see what that looks like as it plays out more broadly. I think those distributors, at least in my conversations with folks, the people who have a broader exposure, maybe geographically or in terms of end markets, I think are less optimistic than the ones who might have a more
in the right spot,
in the right spot kind of position. But let's face it, even in that case, we shouldn't be managing our businesses like index funds, right? You should be able to go out and win business and grow. But in terms of what this is really telling us, I just think it's going to take a few months before the noise kind of starts to filter out. So it's good, and there's some things here that may be positive, but I'm taking more of a wait and see attitude on it.
Yeah, you mentioned the ISM PMI. It dropped to 48.0 after posting 49 last month, and that's the lowest level in 2025. So,
yeah, and that's what I'm. When you start to see different indicators that should be moving together diverging, that usually indicates that there's asymmetry in the information somewhere. And so that always makes me less confident. When everything's pointing the same direction, you can go, okay, this is pretty much what everybody's seeing. But for the fastener industry, which is tightly connected, obviously, to manufacturing, to be diverging, it could be timing, it could be a lot of things. And that's why I was pointing to the components that make it up. So low customer inventories could be an indication of strong future orders. It could also reflect end user caution. The employment readings look good, but they're kind of in line with norms. They're not expanding aggressively. So you look at those things and you go, okay, well, is there anything here that, gives us real clarity as to why the fastener respondents would be moving in a different direction? And that's not clear, at least to me at this point.
Right. Yeah, that's the question we can't really answer. So the other number, we have the 6-month outlook, still fairly bullish. We had 38% of the people expecting business to be better. Down the road, 47 the same, and only 15% being lower. So if you take the two front ones, that's a little bit better result than it was last month. Last month we had 41%, 38%, and 22%. So the big change is that people who think it's going to be worse decreased, but a lot more people are in the middle reading. Almost half are in the middle reading, thinking things will be the same. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, it should be a good thing, but here's my thought on that is I think people were kind of thinking as we got through some of this tariff things, think dust settles a little bit, right? There's certainty. Certainty should be better for us to move forward and, people to make decisions. I think there's some things that have been delayed, some projects and things that folks are bidding on that are delayed. I mean, if you think about it, you're bidding a package, the customer it's taking longer for them to make decisions because what's the cost basis they're comparing your quote to? So it slowed things down a little bit. So this looks pretty good. But one of the questions about it is, that's sort of a sentiment based thing. So now that we get a little bit further, will that hold? Hopefully it does, but we'll see.
Yeah, you mentioned the word sentiment, and other people have said on here that, the FDI and the FLI is kind of an emotional index sometimes. And the question is, what's kicking that emotion, I guess? Like what happened?
Well, again, I think
more tariffs on copper, not just steel. Maybe that's it.
It's hard to say, although fear is a very powerful emotion, right? So when people are heading into uncertainty, they get very cautious. Now we've had a few months where people are maybe things are looking a little better. They're a little more optimistic because it's not as bad as they thought it was, and so they feel a little better. But again, one of the complicating things about these kind of large regulatory actions is they tend to mask the real demand underneath all of that. So you can filter out for that only to some extent. And nobody really can fully tell you right now what the demand impact, the long-term demand impact of all of this trade stuff is going to be, right? And so that's the big question mark that I think is still there. People are starting to get a handle on their costs. People are starting to get a handle on the short-term book of business in terms of their customers' backlog and inventories. But what remains to be seen is what will be the impact longer term on the demand for U.S. manufactured goods. And that is, I don't know anybody who has that answer.
Right. Well, like you said earlier, try to win business and grow. Anything else you want to mention on the numbers before we move on to the commentary?
No, it just very, very interesting. It was an interesting set of readings this month.
Yeah, it caught me by surprise a little bit. I mean, especially the forward-looking indicator jumping way up. One final thought I had on the number, there's a lot like, if you follow the stock market has been just exploding in terms of growth over the last few months. And these wild swings, and then are they moving on into these numbers as well? These big surges in numbers. It seems out of the ordinary, and really nothing fundamental behind them.
Well, it could be, and that goes to my comment about sentiment. People hear about the stock market, but financial markets move with a different logic than what a manufacturer's plant needs or construction site needs. So we'll see.
Yeah. So in a separate industry we have some stock indexes that we cover in there. They're just hugely on the growth. 1 month to the next, 8, 9%, 10% growth in an index, which is just, you would hope for that in a year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe volatility is the name of the game. Let's move on to commentary. And this time commentary was mixed depending on your sourcing, or at least is what Baird's thesis is, that if you're sourcing from U.S. Or domestic suppliers, things are pretty good. If you're more global or more international, maybe not so good. So the first, we'll go into these comments. You can jump in and add any your takes on them. The first one is, quote, just like last month, we received an unexpectedly large amount of orders and we pushed them out into the door for a great sales month. I am bullish on USA-made parts, end quote.
Yeah, again, I think like we said, you could be positioned well to take advantage of kind of what's happening, and so good for that guy. That's good.
Yeah. And as a side note, I've noticed people, USA made parts is definitely increasing in its mention in marketing materials. So next one. From what we hear, the American fastener guys are busy while the metric side is a little slower, end quote.
No, I mean, that makes sense, right? Probably in the short
Absolutely.
term.
Yeah. They're celebrating a little. So the next one is sales were down a bit in July as compared to June, but July was still our second largest sales month in our company's history. That's pretty good.
That is good.
Tariff uncertainty is still driving prices up while stifling demand. I think you alluded to that a little bit earlier, things being put on hold.
I think that's right, yeah.
All right, the next one, it's the longest comment we have. So it says, quote, managing inventory by tariff category has practically created an additional position as OEM customers ask for detailed breakdowns in inventory pricing by tariff change. Each time our president decides to change them or make a new deal, we find ourselves starting over. Planning is impossible. Sales are up, of course, due to increased tariff pricing, but margins are taking a substantial hit as we share the increased cost with customers to save the relationship and assist them with holding their own product cost increases to a minimum, end quote. There's a lot there.
There is a lot there. Well, I think I can certainly sympathize with that. There's just a lot of data that needs to be gathered to justify increases in a lot of cases, or even just your position on inventory or whatever with the customer. And the more it changes, the more you have to redo that work, and that's a hidden cost in the businesses that have to deal with those more sophisticated buyers who require that. And I think a lot of people are dealing with that.
Yeah, I don't have to do that, but it seems to me that would be kind of a nightmare situation at times, and akin to like a kind of a regulation or regulatory stranglehold on business, having to add people to figure these things out.
Yeah, I used to get up in the morning and look at what the stocks did. Now you look at what the stocks did and what the tariffs are, so you can reset everything.
Yeah, right. Start over. Make the new price sheet. So, all right. Then we got one more comment. It says, quote, strong signs that the economy is slowing. Also, with regards to your pricing question, it varies by product category as the evil tariffs apply. Some stuff has gone up while a lot of other items are only up about 15%, end quote.
Well, I'm not going to comment on the moral status of whether they're evil or whatever, but no, I think this is something that I'm hearing a lot, and we are certainly seeing at AFC that certain product categories obviously are going to be affected more, and certain channels are going to be affected more, and so it's a lot of work, and we just have to navigate it until the dust settles and we understand what it is, and that's hopefully that will be soon, and hopefully these positive readings are reflecting something real. Although not to be the skeptic, I think right now the PMI probably reflects more accurately the broader economic environment. So we'll see if there's something unique happening with the fastener supply chain that is positioned us to be better than that. I'm not sure, though, how long you can really outperform those broader trends. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think your take is right. I mean, the PMI is more broad, and in the fastener industry, in the time I've been in it, never really outperforms the rest of the market. There's no inherent technical advances in fasteners. They're important, they're good, they work, but they pretty much follow along with the general economy.
Right, I think that's right, and so I think we're probably going to see some softening now. Depending on what your customer base is, or how you're positioned. Some people may be in a better position, but in general, I was just really surprised to see that FLI number because it doesn't really connect with most of the other pieces of data that we look at.
Well, makes for a good segment on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, anything else on the FDI before we let you give a chance to tell the listeners what's going on at AFC Industries?
No, I think that was good.
Okay, good. So you guys are always busy. What's new and great going on at AFC?
Yeah, well, as you said, we always try to keep moving. We've added some capabilities in machine parts and some depth in Europe. We're continuing to restructure some things around a couple of verticals that we think are going to be important over the next several years. And so just a lot of activity here. We've got a great team, and the business is growing, and so we've just got to continue to do a good job taking care of our customers and implementing the new business. And I think we'll be in good shape. We're positioned pretty well, so it's an exciting time to be here.
Yeah, you guys usually don't go long without some news. So the latest, I think you had a name change with your European branch, the AFC Europe. Good.
We had a few different companies that we'd acquired there, and they were really being managed by the same team and working according to the same strategy. So we decided to just rebrand that AFC Europe. That communicates to the customers that we're local to them, but also the connection to the larger entity.
To the brand, the AFC. Sounds like a good move. And like I said, you guys seem like you're always got something new going on. So keep up the good work there.
We'll try. Thank you.
Now we're recording this almost in the middle of August, and at the end of August we got college football starting up. And I was looking at your LinkedIn, and I don't know if I noticed this last time you were on, but you've got degrees from Michigan and Penn State. So I'm wondering where do your loyalties lie?
Well, I like I like to see Penn State do well, but I'm a Michigan guy.
You're a Michigan guy, okay?
That's where my undergrad's from. That's
it's usually the first love, right?
That's right. Plus, and if you when they give you a diploma at Michigan, they make you sign up for the rest of your life to. But no, it's been an interesting few years with them. Some good, some bad. So we'll see what happens this year. But yeah, I'm excited about it, and I hope the Nittany Lions do well too.
Well, I saw they were, in the coaches poll, Penn State, I think, is number 3, and Michigan's maybe 14 or so. So they're both in the top 20. But
yeah,
we will see what happens. It's a whole new animal now in college football.
It is. It's a lot different than it used to be, and I'm not sure I like all of those changes, but that's the way the world works, right? You just got to keep.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like all the changes either, but I was saying to a couple of friends, I'm like, well, I still get excited when college football and pro football roll around. I still enjoy following it and watching it.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Well, good to have you back on the program, and we thank you for your insight and expertise in the fastener industry, and I look forward to having you on again in the future.
Happy to do so. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin. That was Kevin Godin. He's the CEO at AFC Industries. The FDI number for July 2025 was 53.1 versus 52.0 in June. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. Setco Fasteners and Distribution announced that after more than a decade of dedication to the company, Kelly Polars has acquired full ownership and now serves as the company's sole proprietor and CEO. Kelly has been a cornerstone of the Setco team with over 30 years in the fastener industry, guiding growth and innovation across a wide range of fastener products. This includes socket head cap screws, set screws, shoulder bolts, hex and 6-lobe keys, dowel pins, and more. Setco has expanded its specialty product offering to include items like brass and nylon tip set screws, while also enhancing service capabilities with options such as blanket orders and custom finishes, all reinforcing Setco's role as both a domestic and import supplier. Kelly said, quote, "I am honored to lead Setco into its next chapter. Our unwavering focus on quality, custom solutions, and personal service has defined us for many years, and I am excited to build on that legacy." Founded in Hampshire, Illinois, Setco Fasteners has grown into a trusted partner within the industrial fastener sector, serving North American markets with both domestically manufactured and imported products tailored to exact print specifications. As the sole owner, Kelly is committed to building on Setco's strengths in the customized socket products, rapid fulfillment, and client-focused supply chain solutions. With Kelly at the helm, Setco Fasteners looks to forward continuing its tradition of reliability, innovation, and excellence for existing and future customers across industries. Kelly continued, quote, "I'm incredibly proud of my team at Setco. Their unwavering commitment to delivering exceptional service ensures that every customer receives a top-tier experience. Each member of the Setco family goes above and beyond to guarantee complete satisfaction, making customer care one of our highest priorities. End quote. You can see an excellent picture of Kelly on page 160 of the August-September 2025 issue of FTI magazine, available online at fastenertech.com. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In corporate news, Birmingham Fastener launched Zinc Fast hot dip galvanizing services. Packer Fastener opened a distribution center in Atlanta. DPA Buying Group moved to larger headquarters. Camcar Innovations announced a strategic partnership with Mule Technology. EcoBolt debuted new bolt load measuring technology. Nordlock expanded into the Brazilian market. GWR Fasteners upgraded production with new equipment. Motion formed a joint venture with Tagoti Development Corporation. Optimus Solutions expanded with a new UK distribution center. TFC was renamed AFC Europe. CJK Industrial tripled its captive screw production capabilities, and Triangle Fastener Corporation, also known as TFC, acquired DB Building Fastener. In personnel news, Linfast Solutions Group, also known as LSG, appointed Steve Dean as Chief Commercial Officer. Ryan Edwards joined SPAX and TrueFast as Mass Timber Sales Director for North America. Birgit Seeger was appointed as the future CEO of the Norma Group. And the women in the fastener industry, also known as Wi-Fi, announced Kelly Stahl of Bernolf Manufacturing and Jen Kaminsky of Hanger Bolt & Stud as winners of the Ann Biskiger-Waltz FTI Scholarship, as well as Adrienne Reynolds of Bassard as the winner of the Edith Camerson IFE Scholarship. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International Magazine and the Fastener News Report monthly newsletter, both available online at fastenertech.com. Now let's turn to the back page to talk about the Las Vegas Fastener Show. Emerald Expositions, the organizer of the International Fastener Expo, also known as IFE or IFE or simply Las Vegas Fastener Show, reports that the 2025 staging of the expo is a highly anticipated event for the industry and the largest fastener show in North America. If you take a look at the IFE 2025 schedule online at fastenershows.com, as well as the more than 20 pages of preview coverage in the August-September 2025 issue of Fastener Technology International Magazine at fastenertech.com, then you can easily conclude that the content will live up to or surpass expectations. Scheduled for September 15th to 17th, 2025 at Mandalay Bay Convention Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, the 2025 Expo includes a comprehensive educational program, a diverse show floor with hundreds of exhibitors from all over the world, and lots of great networking and business opportunities. In addition to the huge exhibit floor, other highlights this year are the IFE Golf Tournament, a full-day training provided by the Fastener Training Institute, several industry expert conference sessions, an opening keynote speech, a welcome party, the Fastener Hall of Fame and Young Fastener Professional Award Ceremony, an after-dark networking event, a 2-hour jackpot marketing workshop hosted by Rosa Hearn of Brighton Best International and Joe Schumacher of AFC Industries, the Fireside Chat Lounge, and several side events planned separately by many industry suppliers. In the back or front of many minds, depending on your perspectives, will be the news that after nearly 30 expos dating back to the late 1990s, the IFE show will be leaving Las Vegas for Phoenix, Arizona in 2026. The move is probably bittersweet to many in the industry, including exhibitors, attendees, and show staff members, as many will certainly miss going to fastener shows in Las Vegas. Industry veterans know that fastener trade shows move around, ebb and flow, and even go away for good just to be replaced by new ones. I expect that most exhibitors and attendees will continue to go wherever the industry goes. I think that goodness, charm, and business opportunities can be found in every city and region in the USA, and I'm confident that the Phoenix and the fastener industry will be able to do some good work together. In the meantime, let's just say, Viva Las Vegas. This is Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. BuckeyeFasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
Solution Man, Ken.
Solution Man, you're my fastener hero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
SOLUTION, Solution Industry. We are Solution.
Hi, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo coming to you with the Fastener Training Minute from the Fastener Training Institute and Carver Labs in beautiful El Cajon, California. Today's topic, as usual, comes from a question. This time it was from a client whom we perform lots of stress durability testing for. And stress durability testing, as you probably know, is a test that we do when we want to detect the presence of hydrogen, which causes hydrogen embrittlement in fasteners. And the question was, why does my test report say stress durability test? I thought this was a hydrogen embrittlement test. And his question was, what's the difference between a hydrogen embrittlement test and a stress durability test? Well, it was an excellent question, I thought, because some of us just suppose people know the difference. When I come back, I'll tell you the difference, and we will cover the 4 major types of hydrogen embrittlement testing for fasteners.
Thanks, Carmen. Hello, everybody. I'm Jo Morris with the Fastener Training Institute. We are headed into the last few weeks of summer, and the schedule is not slowing down for fastener training. Next on our schedule is Fastener Training Week Chicago, in conjunction with the MWFA's annual Fastener Week. This is FTI's hallmark class, and we love being a part of the events for Fastener Week that included one of the industry's very best tabletop shows. And what better time to visit Chicago than on the tail end of summer? Join us the week of August 25th for 5 days of training to prepare you to become a certified fastener specialist. This year, Lawrence Klaus, Director of Education, and Salim Brahimi, Director of Technology from the Industrial Fasteners Institute, will instruct our students and guide them through learning labs, hands-on demonstrations, lectures, presentations, and plant tours. Students will learn about bolted joint design, quality assurance, torque tension, fastener math, thread technology, how to read prints, and a whole bunch more. We're going to be touring Semblex Corporation and SWD Plating, where students will have a close-up look how fasteners are made, how they're processed, and how they're utilized. We're approaching another sold-out class, so if you are interested, don't wait to register. Then, moving into September, we will be presenting Fastener Platings, Coatings, and Corrosion, a full-day workshop at the International Fastener Expo in Las Vegas, sponsored by Star Stainless. Industry spend billions of dollars fighting corrosion, but fasteners, they present a special challenge. Choosing the right materials and finishes to combat corrosion in fasteners is essential. So please join us September 15th at Mandalay Bay, instructed by the one and only Carmen Vertullo, to learn how to equip yourself with the knowledge to make the right decisions to combat corrosion. For more information about all of our classes and our online training, please visit us at fastenertraining.com. Now back to Carmen.
At Worth, status quo isn't an option. Worth is a global supply chain solutions provider of fasteners, MRO, and safety products, along with value-added services like kitting and assembly, 3D printing, and engineering assistance. Find out what Worth can do for you at worthindustry.com.
Well, welcome back, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute on one of my favorite topics, hydrogen embrittlement. And in this case, it has to do with hydrogen embrittlement testing. And the question that came my way was, what's the difference between a hydrogen embrittlement test and a stress durability test? Well, the answer is there is no difference. A stress durability test, as you can imagine, there's stress and duration or durability. It's simply a test where we put the fastener under a load for a given period of time and see what the hell happens. Does it break? Does it not break? Does it stretch? Blah, blah, blah. And there are several different types of hydrogen embrittlement tests, and there are several different types of stress durability testing. Hydrogen embrittlement testing is simply a type of stress durability test where we put the fastener under a load for a period of time and we see if it is able to sustain that load without fracture. So that led me to think about the types of hydrogen embrittlement testing that we have available to us, or I should say the standards that govern them. And I'm going to talk about 4 of them and then a 5th that's not in a standard. The first and most common one that we're used to comes from ASTM F606, F606M, and it's in section 7 of that standard, and it's called Tests for Embrittlement of Metallic Coated Externally Threaded Fasteners. Now, why they insist that it's metallic coated, which tend to be electroplating, maybe that's why. But there are other reasons you might want to do this test. So I'm not crazy about the title of that paragraph, but it's okay. And I'm not going to read this whole section to you. I'm just going to tell you the essence of it is this. The object of the game is to put the test samples under a load of 75% of their specified ultimate tensile strength and do that with a wedge under the head if it is a headed fastener. And the angle of that wedge is determined based on how close to the head the fasteners are threaded and what the length to diameter ratio is. We put them under a load for some amount of time. 48 hours is the amount of time. After 24 hours, we torque them or retighten them, make sure that we have sustained our load. And then at the end of that test, we remove the fastener, examine it, make sure it has not broken or cracked. And it does also require that we do an examination with some kind of magnified method. So that's ASTM F606, not my favorite test. Because if you have a long fastener, figuring out how to get a fixture that can work well can be difficult. So I don't like this test. Also, for smaller fasteners, we don't know the wedge size because it starts at 1/4 of an inch. So when we have something smaller than that, we don't get the wedge. The object of the game with the wedge is to actually get us a yield situation. The fastener bends at the head, so it's going into yield under the head, but not in the threads. And so that wedge exacerbates the load on the fastener if you have a wedge, but it doesn't do that in the threads. And that normally that's where the fracture is going to take place, in the threads or under the head. With F606, it's almost always at the head because we have the wedge there. But it's only 75% of the ultimate tensile strength. So that's method 1, ASTM F606. Our second method is ISO 15330, and that is probably my favorite method because it's called the parallel plates test. And I am going to read you some things from that standard about how the parallel plates test works, because they do a very nice job of describing it. And the title of that standard, ISO 15330, is called Fasteners Preloading Tests for the Detection of Hydrogen Embrittlement Parallel Bearing Surface Method. I'm going to read the introduction to you because it's very informative. When atomic hydrogen enters steels, it can cause loss of ductility or load carrying ability. Cracking, usually as submicroscopic cracks or catastrophic brittle failures at applied stresses well below the yield strength or even the normal design strength for the alloys can occur. This phenomenon often occurs in alloys that show no significant loss in ductility when measured by conventional tensile tests and is frequently referred to as hydrogen-induced delayed brittle failure, hydrogen stress cracking, or hydrogen embrittlement. The hydrogen can be induced during heat treatment, very rare, gas carburizing, also very rare, cleaning, rare, pickling, kind of rare, phosphating, kind of rare, electroplating, the most common cause, and in the service environment, which we call external or environmental hydrogen embrittlement, not that rare, as a result of the cathodic protection or corrosion reactions in the assembly. Hydrogen can also be introduced during fabrication, which is very rare. For example, during roll forming, machining, and drilling due to coolant or lubricant breakdown, as well as during welding or brazing operations. Mainly for us, it's going to be hydrogen from electroplating or hydrogen from the environment. And I'm not going to focus on the product that is susceptible, but we all know we're talking about high hardness fasteners above HRC 39 or 1200 megapascals and 180 KSI in tensile strength. The nice thing I like about this standard is it's very straightforward. It says during the principle, the preloading test is carried out in suitable test devices. Fasteners are subjected to stress in the range of the yield point or the breaking torque, either by torquing with a mating nut or bolt or driving into a pre-tapped plate. And that's extremely simple and straightforward. In the range of the yield point, which we would expect in that typical F606 test we talked about before, that would give us close to the yield point, but we don't know that because we don't know where the yield point of that particular lot of fasteners is. At 15330, no wedge, but we go to the yield point. And the easiest way to get there, and it's so simple, is simply put a torque wrench on the thing and tighten it with an indicating torque wrench until the torque stops going up. At that point, we know the fastener is beginning to stretch permanently, and you simply cannot get more of a load on it. We have the similar situation where it's stressed for 24 hours and we check it, and then another 24 hours and we remove the fastener and we make sure it has not broken. Typically, when hydrogen embrittlement does occur in any of these tests, the fastener will fail catastrophically. Occasionally, the heads don't pop off or the fastener doesn't come out of the fixture, and we discover that in the process of removing it. It just breaks like there was nothing there. But most of the time, it will fail catastrophically. Okay, so those are two methods so far, ASTM F606, F606M, and ISO 15330. Now we're going to talk about actually what I think is my actual favorite method, and that's NASM 1312-5, and it's called Fastener Test Methods, Method 5, Stress Durability. And it gives us multiple ways that we can get the load put on the fastener. We have the torque method of loading, which essentially is figuring out how much torque it might take to achieve the required load. Elongation method. That way we have to somehow measure the length of the fastener to determine how much load was put on it. We have the external loading method. We can use a load cell or some way to know externally what the load on the fastener was. We can use a strain gauge method of loading. Nobody's going to do that. Put a strain gauge on a fastener to do an HE test, no. But at the end of the day, they also say we have a method called, I don't know what we want to call this method, but I'm going to call it to do anything you want, because it says alternative loading method. Any other method of applying and maintaining a load which results in a load of 75 to 80% of the product minimum tensile strength being induced in the specimen is acceptable. And all of those other ways we just talked about are acceptable, and that's fine. The test result, cracks or fracture of any test specimen, results in failure of the specimen. However, they also want you to inspect using magnetic particle inspection or some type of non-destructive inspection that can detect the crack. That makes this test 2 tests, actually. It can be a pain in the ass to do that if you don't have that equipment in-house. Typically, if I'm going to use 15330 and it's my choice, I will say we are not doing the NDI because it's not necessary, especially if it's failed, but you can examine it visually and know that it's good. If the requirement of NASM 1312 is called out, then we have to actually do that examination. The fourth, and I think the simplest of all tests, is from ASME B18.6.3. That's our tapping screw standard as machine screws and tapping screws. Tapping screws are hardened, so there's a section called the hydrogen embrittlement test, section 4.11.5, and it says this test is applicable when required by the plating or coating specifications such as ASTM F1941, F1941M. Screws shall be installed in a test plate, head of the screw seated against a standard steel flat washer, and we tighten those screws until they break. At some number of them, it says tighten at least 5 until they break, breaking torque. And then we determine the average of that breaking torque, and we tighten the test screws to 80% of that. Now, that is a bunch of busy, unnecessary work, and I would like to change this standard because essentially we don't have to take them to braking. We can do something very similar to what we did in ISO 15330, is simply tighten them down until the torque stops increasing. Then we will know we're not going to be able to load that fastener any further than that. And also, this is only a 24-hour test. It's not a 48-hour sustained loading test. So 24 hours is not really long enough for other types of screws other than these tapping screws. But in any case, fracture of any part of the screw as a result of retightening after 24 hours would constitute the failure. So the other method that I'm going to talk to you about is the stuff that we make up. Every now and then we have to test something for hydrogen embrittlement in which there is no standard. But using a combination of all of these methods, we can find a way to put any oddball fastener under a load that we need to get under a load for the stress durability test. And we just basically call that the Carmen method. And we have to use it many times here at Carver Labs. So those are the 5 methods: ASTM F606, ISO 15330, NASM 1312-5, and the ASME B18.6.3. And these are specific to finished fasteners. They're not for testing for susceptibility of coatings or materials or anything. They apply to finished fasteners only. There's also a U.S. car test out there that has to do with automotive, which is old, and I don't like that test, so I'm not going to talk about it. Well, you probably know a lot about hydrogen embrittlement, and now you know a little bit more because you know about the test methods that are applicable. And you also know that a stress durability test and a hydrogen embrittlement test for fasteners are the same thing. This has been Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Thanks for listening.
Hey, boys and girls, it's Craig Pedlin with Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
And it's feature segment time. Hey, the MWFA Fastener Week, the week with no vowels, is coming up. We keep talking about that, promoting it as hard as we can because it's a great event. Hope to see a lot of you out there. And with us now, it's a legend of the MWFA and the wider fastener industry, really. He's Rich Cavoto. Hey, Rich.
Eric, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
Of course. It's long overdue. We've been threatening now for what, like 7 years?
I think maybe closer to 5. And of course, I do see Lynn at some of the shows and give her a little bit of feedback.
Yeah, that's right. You pop in every now and then. Actually, I think you and GQ did a segment a couple years back. We had some fun with that. I remember you were explaining the Cavoto method of driving down into the city.
Just a friendly wave, no eye contact.
Yeah, that was the key ingredient. I remember that. That was a lot of fun. Well, how you been, buddy? You're looking good?
Yeah, just spend a little time in Florida in the winter here now and coming back for 8 or 9 months here. And it's been good. A lot of golf. The weather's been beautiful here in Chicago this last weekend. Listened to a couple of your episodes with my man Big Country, who derived that nickname because he hits the golf ball a country mile, as who's ever played with him knows. And just a good guy. And I think we're actually sneaking over to NSequel soon. We just signed up with them, so that ought to be a good change for us.
Is that right? Wow, that's kind of a surprise. I had no idea. So Metric and Multi is shifting over to NSequel. That's great.
We are.
Amazing what can be accomplished on the golf course.
It's amazing in the Midwest how golf can translate into business for fasteners and software and many other things. So, it should be a good partnership.
Well, you're known for a lot of things. Of course, golf is one of them. And this is kind of a weird twist of fate that you and I had. Actually, there are several of them. But you were an officer of a country club. And this is before I got into the fastener industry. You were an officer out there in Naperville, Illinois. And I actually had a condo at the time right on the first tee. It was the women's tee, but I was right there for all those years. And you were playing golf right next to me.
I swear I never hit your house. A couple of my buddies probably did over at Crest Creek, but yeah, there's actually a few younger members that live there now who are nice and convenient to just stroll out and stroll over to the clubhouse and play a little golf. So yeah, that's a small world.
You know, I had that place for 7 years. It was second floor, and I only got hit once, at least on the glass. So, of course, it was right in the middle of the sliding glass door. But guess what, Crest Creek, you guys took care of the bill. I was very impressed with that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they probably figured out about what time it was and nailed the group that was in it. And someone probably owned up to it like they do in the 14th hole, and they throw one in the parking lot and take a windshield out.
Is that how that works?
Oh, yeah. The members will pay for the most part if they ante up. If not, I'm sure the club will step right in. Their insurance. The insurance covers it.
That's pretty cool because those fairways in that area, they're that part of the course. I mean, they're pretty tight, and we don't have nets. You know, a lot of places that are communities that are adjacent to golf courses, they've got those giant nets, and we didn't have that. And I don't know, at a certain point, you kind of assume the responsibility for living right next to a tee, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, every hole at Crest Creek has out of bounds and or a house left. So you got someone who hooks the ball on a regular basis, heads up, it could be coming. A lot of houses do get nicked throughout the year, but a lot of trees have filled in, and hopefully that knocks it down 90% of the time.
So getting back to Big Country, you were out golfing with him. I take it you've golfed with him on several occasions based on what he was saying. You're his, what is Fastener Dad?
Right. He called after I nicknamed him the Big Country. He calls me Dad, and I call him Son. We played a couple times a few years back in Vegas. I invited him out to my club. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking he's going to come out on that Sunday before the show and play with our man Vertullo and Steve Yearhouse, and so we should have a good time there. So yeah, we play a handful of times. He, the youth has really paid off for him because when he hit the ball as long as he can hit it, I can hit it decent, and I'm hitting a 5-iron or 6-iron in, and he's hitting a little pitching wedge. So he's solid. He's definitely one of the better golfers in the industry.
What do you think of the nickname that he came up with you on the last episode?
Dad?
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. I don't know. I think Dad is sufficient, but if he Big Daddy, we always have a good time. His dad and I think are right about the same age. Another year and a half tops, maybe a half year, depending on these tariffs treat me. I'll probably step way back and play more golf. So we'll see what happens in the next 6 to 18 months here.
Yeah, well, I don't like you foreshadowing that, Rich, because the industry will not be the same with you if that does ever happen. And actually, to tell you the truth, I was surprised to hear that you've already shifted sort of into snowbird mode. So you're going down to Florida 3 months a year, golfing your face off, on your lunch hour, of course. And,
of course. A lot of pickleball.
Yeah, you're into that now, aren't you? And,
yeah.
and GQ plays with you, I heard.
Oh, yeah, and GH3.
All on a league? Is that what it is?
Well, no, we just go on an indoor place in Naperville for 2 hours, or outdoor. Crest Creek's got some nice pickleball courts now, and just watching those two run around like crazy and beating them on a regular basis. It's kind of fun.
I can imagine it. Well, that needs to be a sanctioned event of the Naperville Fastener Association, I think.
It could be, yeah. We actually had an event at the Midwest Fastener a week and a half ago. It was great. There was probably 25, 30 people. Other than the fact it was in Algonquin, which I thought I was in the corner of Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin by the time I got there. It was a lot of fun. It was a great facility. A lot of people, like I said, 25, 30 people showed up, and it was a big hit.
Well, the MWFA is definitely thriving, and you would not have been able to catch this because it was earlier in the episode, but Joanne Bialas was on earlier, and she mentioned that Nancy Rich is still executive director of CFA. I had no idea. Or actually, I think I did, but I completely forgot about that. So she retired from MWFA with great fanfare, but she's still active. Maybe she's doing the snowbird thing too.
I'm not sure if she's doing the snowbird thing because I think her grandkids are more up this way. I haven't seen her in a few months now, but yeah, I'm not sure if she's snowbirding yet, but I highly recommend it if you can.
All right. Tip taken. When you go down there, do you see Jason Bertone a lot? Because you mentioned him. He's a bionic guy all around, but I imagine he's really hot on the greens. He's
up in Orlando. We're probably about 3 hours south of him down near Naples. And We do. I've been up there. I go up there one time a year to see him, or he's actually come down a few years ago. He got married a few years back in February, which was an over the top, amazing wedding. So that was fun. And then we went up and played golf at one of our suppliers events in Orlando. And, we always have to stop in and say hi to Jason.
Do you keep him rolling on the course? I mean, is that one of your tactics for shaving points off his score, or anyone else that you're golfing with? I mean, here's the thing, Rich. Every time I look over at you, whenever we go out for drinks after one of these events, you're always sitting at a table somewhere. You're surrounded normally by, I don't want to cast any aspersions here because this is a compliment, but there's normally a gaggle of young girls around you who are in constant laughter.
I would say that, yeah, young, younger than me, yeah, but it's life's too short. I've lost a couple buddies over the last 2 years who were my age or a couple years younger, and you just never know out there. So just kind of live it to its fullest, have fun, and let's get the work done, which we do because we've been pretty busy. Last 5 or 6 years, all through COVID, and still going pretty good here. And then the fun factor, has to creep in there. Life's too short, especially I'm knocking on 70's door here in a couple of years, and still having fun and laughing and make people laugh. That's pretty much what it's all about, right?
Yeah, well, you're good at that. Anyway, you're one of the young guys. Just ask Leo Core.
I did hear. I mean, he's knocking on 90's door, right?
92, I believe.
Yeah, I told my dad when he turned 80, he made it to the bonus round. He goes, "What about 90?" I go, "Well, double bonus round. What do you think?" And almost made it. Got to 89 and had a good full life. So it was, yeah. I don't think I could take the over under at 89 myself, but hey, you never know.
So who do you see in the fastener industry that impresses you, who is part of the younger set? Because now we're starting to sound like dinosaurs, and that's not what we don't feel that way. I guarantee that. But you see anybody out there who impresses you?
Well, of course you got Brian Wheeler, who used to be in the Chicago area. Now he's out in God's country out west. We got a lot of good young board members on the Midwest, led by our president, Jill, Corey, Sam Lang. There's probably a few more here I'd have to look up, but yeah, there's just a lot of good young people getting involved in the Midwest Fastener Association, and I haven't been to many association meetings or events in the last few years, but I'm sure there's a lot of younger people coming up there too and jumping in and helping, and I'm telling you, you'd be surprised how much business you can actually get through a connection like an association and all the events and networking that people do.
Oh, for sure. Come on. I mean, that's what this is all about. Okay, now I'm gonna get in the Wayback Machine again, because I'm gonna tell you yet another link that we have. I don't know if you remember this one or not. When Brian and I first started immersing ourselves in the fastener world, at that time, of course, we did not anticipate that it would become our full-time thing. It was going to be a sideline for our tech business.
All right.
But we had somebody helping us, introducing us here and there. We didn't know anybody in the fastener industry. The first event I attended was Fastener Tech out in Rosemont.
Yeah.
And it was in the days when Fastener Tech it wasn't just a tabletop. It was like a regular trade show with 10 by 10 booths and all that.
Yeah, it was like a 2-day show, which these days is, pretty much exclusive to Vegas or.
Oh, in comparison to what's out there now, it was a monster, right?
Right. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Well, guess who the first person that I was ever introduced to in the fastener industry was?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Marty Nolan.
It was you.
What?
That's right. I remember, and I was introduced by somebody who I will not name, but you definitely were not receptive to the pitch in the sense that you weren't going to do business with me just on the basis that I was reaching my hand out. But on the other hand, you were very gentlemanly. You listened to what I had to say, nodded politely, smiled, and then,
had been a sponsor ever since.
Well, yes. Thank you. Metric and Multi, you guys have been with us for many years, and we're glad to have passed you many, many leads, and I hope you've gotten a lot out of it. But I mean, that story, I don't know that I ever told you that. All these years we've hung out and stuff like that, but that's the truth.
You'll have to send me a sidebar on who that was.
Yeah,
or you can cut it out.
So the shows and the associations are vital to the industry. I mean, everybody knows that.
Yeah, the days of the 2-day association shows like we used to have, and I was a big proponent of just sticking with the really good tabletop, which I think obviously the Midwest Fastener has done a pretty good job over the years making it a full Fastener week. You know, they have the sleeping heavily piece bed build on that Sunday. Monday night, there's the networking at the Marriott up in Lincolnshire. Some plant tours, welcome dinner, another presentation from the Federal Reserve, and then the show, and then the golf outing. So it's a pretty busy 4 days or so. So it's definitely, we get a lot of good feedback, especially from people out of town. It's easy for me. It's a 35, 40-minute drive to get up there, and people who come in, I think, get their money's worth. So I think it's a definite benefit to the industry.
Yeah, well, you just snuck in a plug there for this year's Fastener Week, which good for you. Get more details, folks, mwfa.net. And you happen to know the dates on that? Let's see, the 23rd is the mud race, 24th is the Sunday bed build, so the 25th, I think, is the plant tours.
Well, they have the mixer that night on the 25th at the Lincolnshire Marriott.
Right, so then the 26th is the tabletop. I'm doing that from memory.
Yep.
Conscientious podcast host that I am. So I used to refer to you as the pipeline to the stars, at least for the MWFA, because you used to bring in all those big names for the keynotes and stuff. So
yeah,
Bill Strauss, who is the Fed guy, or he's a retired Fed guy now, is he the one presenting about the Federal Reserve?
I didn't get him. I usually get a person for our scholarship dinner in November. I've gotten a few baseball players, Brian Sweeney, Ryan Dumpster, a few of the network guys, my buddy Rich Roper down, who's a movie critic and still on the radio doing some type of movie stuff. It got us a connection. I think we had Ryan Severini one year, one of the sports broadcasters on Fox. I forget his name, but yeah, there's a couple people I can reach out to, and they can usually fill it in. So now that I'm off the board, though, I'm not sure who they're getting this year. But if they ever need help, I'll be glad to put the word out.
Oh, so you think they got another connection over there at the Fed?
Well, again, the Fed, they're doing for more of a market outlook on that morning from like 9:45 for an hour to 10:45 before the show.
Oh, okay. I guess I misunderstood. I thought that meant that you were going to have somebody from the Fed, because you always used to have Bill Strauss out there. That was a great connection.
Right. This guy is a principal business economist at the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, and he's going to give a 1-hour market outlook presentation. Last year we did the game show where you were the host. I was on the panel, I remember. That was fun. So this will be a little more serious, I'm thinking.
Oh, so I didn't realize that. So you swapped out the game show for the Fed. I don't know how I feel about that, to tell you the truth.
I'm off the board this year, so yeah, you could roll the dice at Bob and George and Jill and.
All right. Well, variety's the spice of life. Hey, Getting back to the shows and everything like that, what was the background? I sensed that there might have been a little bit of, I'm not going to say bad blood, but there was a little tension there between MWFA and the Fastener Fair people when those guys first moved in, because right after that show started, really Fastener Tech went away basically. And so now the MWFA just has the tabletops, because it used to alternate every other year.
Right, so the tabletop to Fastener Tech. But like I said earlier, I don't think people like coming out for 2 days to go to Rosemont Horizon. I mean, obviously it's right close to O'Hare, but 2 days there, it's just, we just didn't think it was worth it. We just thought the tabletop, you got a lot more bang for your buck. The golf course is in the same facility. No one has to leave. So we made a decision a few years back to just stick with tabletops, even though it probably cost us a little bit of revenue for our scholarships, because we made a little more money, renting at a bigger place down at Rosemont. So, we just kind of outweighed what was best for the distributor who's exhibiting, and we felt the tabletop was a little bit better for them overall. But with Fastener Tech, I don't know, there was a little bit of pushback, just pretty much saying, go to Cleveland, go to Detroit, go to Nashville. We just didn't really want them in our backyard, within a month or 2 month period of our show. But that was probably handled by someone other than me with the pushback on it. But they've been, I think, very accommodating and, pushing around. I think next year we're going to Charlotte, and so should be good.
All right. So you mentioned in passing the big issue in the fastener industry at present, and that's tariffs. So everybody's got some experiences to share. And first of all, I'm not even going to ask how bad it is because I have a sense of that. But what's your take on it right now? What do you see?
I do reach out to all the buddies in the Chicagoland area and other guys I'm friends with who are importers, and it's a nightmare. I mean, for the most part, we probably only do 5 to 8% from China, and getting whacked around for 90, 95%. It was 140 until we backed it down a few months ago. Still up in the air today, being another couple days away before everything gets implemented. But everything in Europe is, I think, going to still be 50. So a 50% increase does not go over big once we need to reorder. And our inventory has been pretty good. So we really didn't have to really start ordering more inventory probably till about 8 weeks ago. And of course, now that it's coming in and the increase is literally 50%, passing that along, you try and absorb some of it. But 50% is 50%, 90% on the China, 90 plus on the China. It doesn't go over big, but everyone's in the same boat. I mean, I'm not sure if you talk to other people, but everyone I'm talking to is just paying the tariff, and you got to make it up somehow. And obviously, the only real way to do it is increase pricing. I mean, hopefully not 50, but absorb some and pass probably the bigger chunk on to your customers.
Right. I mean, that's really your only option. So my next question is about margins. I mean, we're all taking margin shrinkage. Isn't that really the fact of it?
Oh, definitely taking margin shrinkage. It's just, it's just a tough one to figure out. Our margins, they're decent for the fastener industry. Are they the best? No. Are they the worst? No. We're probably right in the middle, but you have to kind of maintain it based on, the employees we have, and, 5 locations here, 1 in Germany. It's, a little bit bigger overhead with, we only own 1 of the buildings we're in and leasing 4. So that rent doesn't go down. Paying your employees a little more, the cost of all the secondary products is going up, the packaging going up. So there's little relief to cut your profit too much without passing, the higher pricing to your customers.
Right. This is what everybody's belaboring right now, and we don't have to go on about it. I just wanted to take the temperature over there, and it's pretty much what everybody's experiencing. So we'll just have to ride this out and hope for the best. I mean, that's all there is to it. All right. So taking the tariff issue out of it, if that's possible for this next question, you're in the fastener industry many years. You're looking down the road at, say, increasing your snowbird status, put it that way. Looking back on this career that you've had, what's been the most challenging thing about the fastener industry? What's been the biggest trial that you've had to overcome to really succeed the way that you have? Because you're a legend, and I know you work real hard. You work through lunch most days that I see, when you're not golfing, that is. But when we make a lot of jokes about all the fun that you have, but man, you are just busting it out when you are in the office. I know I've seen you do it. And what do you think is really, really the big challenge there?
I'm telling you right now, Eric, I think this is it. Honestly, this is it. We have customers, increasing prices, and now there's a big push for material certs, CFCs. And the one thing about Europe, they don't give you the CFC. They charge you anywhere from $100 to $300 for the material cert, and that's increasing but the tariffs are the number one thing that I think is the biggest challenge that I've probably seen in my career here, and hopefully it doesn't end my career. But this has been rough. Yeah, it's the tariffs.
Okay, so what I'm hearing though is, aside from tariffs, we're talking about maybe increasing bureaucracy. I mean, it sounds like paperwork, certs, and things like that. I mean, in Europe, we also have all the CBAM issues to contend with these days. I mean, you guys are bringing in a pile of material from Europe. That must be affecting you big time.
I mean, it's kind of a nightmare. The tariffs on top of the regulations, the CBAM, and just everything else is I mean, the lucky thing for me is obviously I'm in Chicago. Everything goes into New York, and they handle all the logistics on that. But when you have a customer looking for a material cert, again, the order might be $100. The cert's going to be $150. Do you want the cert or you don't want the cert? But a lot of people are requiring it now, so it's something they have to pay for.
All right. It's a bullpen setup you guys have over there, and I can hear it's a hub of activity at Metric and Multistandard, despite all the hardship, Rich. So that part of it's good to hear. You got a good crew over there, don't you? I mean, you guys are always on.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have one of the best. I'm not sure. You've met my assistant, Nancy Novak. I've been here 45. I think she's been here 46 years. And everyone else, 25, 20. And then we have a couple of newer guys who are, grabbing the bull by the horns, who have been here for 5 years. They're doing a nice job. I got a good warehouse girl who just runs the show back there and makes sure those boys get the right product in the right bag.
Good to hear. We'll go around the horn. Bring us up to speed on Johnny Reno and the rest of the crew over there for folks who know Metric and Multi and their minion in the industry.
Yeah, Johnny Reno's doing great out there. He's healthy now. He had a little health issue a few years back, and he's back to 95% because I know when he threatens to stab me with a fork, I know he's back to normal. Joel Copey, right? Joel's actually retiring on 10/10. I think it's 10/10 is Metric Day. It'll be his last day. And another salesperson who used to be with our company a few years back came back, and he's going to be taking over the New York sales, Frank Eaton. We have Jimmy Dobbs down in Georgia, been with the company a long time. And then Edgar down in Texas. He's doing a nice job down there, handles a lot of stuff, obviously in the Southwest, and a lot of good stuff in Mexico. And of course, we have an office in Germany who facilitates about 95% of the items we get to us, and they do a nice job. We get an air freight every week, a sea freight from them probably once a month, maybe twice a month, let alone the other stuff we're getting from other suppliers in the Far East. So it's definitely happened, other than the fact every time you get a shipment in the last month, it costs you $100,000 in tariffs.
Oh, boy.
I know.
All right. Well, great crew. And I know they're all operating at full capacity right now, so that's good news, despite it all. And you're right there in the thick of it.
I am. Yeah, it's a good place to be. But like I said, if it wasn't a good company, I wouldn't have been here for 45 years. So I appreciate the ownership having their faith in me and, giving them their money's worth. And like I said, another 6 to 18 months and spend a little more quality time on the golf course, the pickleball courts.
Ooh, I don't want to talk about that part of it, Rich. I'm going to see you next month. I'm going to try and talk to you about that. But hey, by the way, speaking of Joel, he mentioned to me that he was checking out when I saw him in Nashville a couple of weeks back. And 10/10 Metric Day, I love that.
Yeah, that's his day, 10/10. I threatened to tell him 10/11 that these tariffs keep up, but I'll like I said, I got another 6 to 18 in me, so we'll keep it rolling. Keep pass the torch somewhere along the way here.
All right, Rich. Well, thanks for the rundown on all this. It's good to finally have you on. I hope you got done what you needed to, and I look forward to seeing you later in the month.
Eric, I appreciate you having me on. It was a lot of fun, and we will see you in a couple weeks, buddy.
Rich Cavoto, legend of the industry, legend of the MWFA. We'll be back with more Fully Threaded right after this.
Headed to the International Fastener Expo this September? Make sure to stop by Brighton Best International at booth 1637, September 16th and 17th at Mandalay Bay Halls, E&F in Las Vegas. Meet our team, explore new products, and don't miss the marketing workshop we're hosting. It's packed with insights to help you grow your business. And here's a bonus. We're offering our value distributors an exclusive 50% off admission with a special promo code. Just reach out to your BBI representative to get the details. We'll see you in Vegas, booth 1637. Tested, tried, and true. We are Brighton Best.
You hear that? Your line is speaking to you. It's asking you a question. Are we good enough? Is good enough good enough? Do we have everything we need for today and tomorrow? Are we delivering the best possible solution? Can we get what we need before we need it? Can we increase production? Can we be more precise? Can we work day and night for weeks on end? Can we create what's never been done? Yes, we can. Let's discover your worth.
This is Jake Valdez Davis with BTM Manufacturing, and you are listening to Mi Amigos, Brian and Eric, on Fully Threaded Radio.
Well, we covered a lot of ground on the episode today, as advertised. Hope you enjoyed it. Brian ran back into the data center. I tell you, we just can't keep him away from the AI now that that genie's out of the bottle for him. For those of you who are familiar with the FCH Sourcing Network Source Finder program, that's one of the areas that he's focusing on. So he's putting AI to work in that area. That should be hitting the street pretty soon. Stay tuned. So I'll wrap it up and thank everyone for listening to this episode. Kerry Tyler and Ali Gonzalez of Emerald kick things off for us with their preview of the International Fastener Expo. Look forward to seeing them and a lot of you out there come September. Joanne Bialas, congratulations on the 30th anniversary of International Fasteners, and thanks for sitting in with us today, warming up the news report. Kevin Godin and Mike McNulty, great job on the FDI today. And of course, Rich Cavoto was our featured guest. Hope he hangs in there for another 12 to 18 minimum, maybe more. We'll see you in Chicago pretty soon, Rich. We'll talk about it. Plus, Carmen Vertullo had the Fastener Training Minute, and Marco Rodriguez did his cameo for Cresa. The title sponsors of Fully Threaded Radio are Brighton Best International, Tested, Tried, True, Brighton Best, Goebel Fasteners, Quality the First Time, Go Goebel, and Star Stainless. Right off the shelf, it's Star. Fully Threaded Radio is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company, BTM Manufacturing, Cresa, Expert Real Estate Advisory, Eurolink Fastener Supply Service, Indries International, InSequel Software, Fastener Technology International, Jaylan Franco, MW Components, the International Fastener Expo, Solution Industries, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Worth Industry USA. Again, our roster of partners is expanding. It's an honor to be working with all of you. And as I was doing some post-production today, I was flashing over to LinkedIn, and I was reminded that everyone in the industry owes Worth a big shout out. I see a post here from the Fastener Training Institute. They're running a class out in LA. It's the Dimensional and Material Specifications class on the CFS track. A few photos out there, including mud racers Carmen Vertullo and Dan Zender. They have big smiles on their face. I don't know if they're doing their training or not while they're at the class, but I hope they're going to be ready. Our big race is on August 23rd, right around the corner. But the Fastener Training Institute does so much for the industry, and Worth is right there supporting them. Great photo also of some of the training materials with their branding on it, reminded me of that. So good time to shout that out. And if you want to give us a shout out, please do. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. Appreciate you listening in. Please share the podcast with your friends and associates in the industry. It's one of the best ways for us to keep on growing. And we have events right around the corner. The next one is the MWFA Fastener Week. We'll see you out there. I'm going to be schlepping a 30-pack of Warm Bush Light. So if you're in the golf outing and you don't do so well, you're not in big countries leagues, shall we say? Who knows? Maybe you'll take that home one way or another. We'll talk to you then. So I'll say for Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws. Don't let this tariff situation get to you, all right? And we'll talk to you next time.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fasteners Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.